What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here with Dilly Vanilli back once more. We are the Bottom Line View, and we are here to talk about the new look Cleveland Browns. Dylan hasn't really been on for any of the breaking news reaction videos, so I just want to hear, and a lot of them are revolving around the Browns. So that's why we're making this specific video. Of course, the title will read something about Tyrod Taylor as well, because I haven't talked about that one yet. And that's going to be the main trade that we discuss. But the way we're going to go throughout this video is we're going to go over the main thoughts of Dylan's, the whole Brown situation and what we both think about what they've done so far in free agency, all their trades combined, and sort of what they are going to look like in 2018. And then we're going to go through each individual trade. So then I'll split up those videos so everybody can watch them in separate videos as well later on if you missed this live video. So, Dylan, let's start off with your thoughts on the Cleveland Brownies and sort of what they've done this year so far.
Well, as everybody else was very shocked to see all this go down yesterday. First, the Jarvis Landry trade, and then you got Tyrod Taylor, Damarious Randall. Everything was going off yesterday for the Browns. And the Browns saw themselves in this scenario where, like, we've hit rock bottom. Literally, we cannot go any further than 0-16. So we have to make a lot of changes. They decided to do no head coaching changes and all focus on player personnel, and they went out and balled. I mean, I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, it's still the Browns, whatever, but they're making themselves try to be something more than completely irrelevant. So getting a guy like Jarvis Landry, Tyrod Taylor, this is the team that's going to most benefit them. Like the team is going to benefit from getting these guys the most out of anybody else in the league. So Jarvis Landry, I was so shocked by that one more than anybody else that was coming to the Browns. I did not expect Jarvis to go there. I don't know how much money he's going to get out of it, but I think it's well worth it for him. Tyrod Taylor, we knew the situation in Buffalo has been on and off for the last couple of years. They wanted to get rid of him, so they got him for next to nothing. Damarious Randall came about an hour later, which was probably the third most shocking thing today or yesterday. So it's obviously good for them. They want to make themselves a lot better than 0-16. Give them credit. And plus, they still have the number 1 and number 4 picks in this draft. So they are obviously wanting to make this a young, talented team that they can focus around with some big guys for the next 4 or 5 years and make, obviously, not go 0-16 again. So good job to the Browns.
All right, let us know what you guys think about the trade so far by the Browns. I know we've touched on the Jarvis Landry one, I have at least, and just let us know what questions you have regarding the Browns and anything else. So, yeah, I think, there's shocking trades. I think the Browns are a team that, I know this sounds crazy, but I was all excited yesterday. I was hyped up because I was saying how the Browns could go to the playoffs.
Whoa, the playoffs.
Like, seriously, though. Like, think about it. We're in an AFC conference, and I'm not trying to hype up Browns fans if there's any that still exist. I'm not trying to hype them up, but, like, seriously, this is a team that, yeah, they were 0-16 last year, but look at what they've already done and what they previously had. Last offseason, they built their offensive line. That was one of their strengths of their team. They built, a couple guys on defense. Their defensive line is pretty solid. Now, they traded one of them away, but they still have a pretty solid defensive line. So they're good up front. And now they bring in a quarterback that's competent. He's a starting quarterback in the NFL, and they still have other picks to go along with that. We're going to go through the fine details of all of it, but now they have 3 good receiving targets, arguably one of the best receiving cores in the entire NFL. They have Jarvis Landry, Josh Gordon, who at any time can be a top 10 receiver, Jarvis, who is like a top slot receiver, and then they have Corey Coleman, who has a lot of potential in his own right, being a first-round pick. They have Njoku at tight end, who's a guy that's coming into his own as a potential tight end that could be pretty good. And then you have Duke Johnson, who's a pretty good receiving back. They do need to sort of find that kind of power running back, or just overall a good guy that can kind of carry the load. But this is a team that offensively, at least, looking really good. Defensively, they still need to kind of fix those holes in the secondary, but It's a team that has a lot of potential. What do you think about that potential, Dylan? Do you think this is a team, given a few more moves, that they could be a team that, you know, makes the playoffs or makes a push? Or are you really looking forward to watching the Browns this year? Or
I mean, I'm definitely a lot more interested than I would have been had they kept this roster, because seeing DeShone Kizer would not have interested me. There's a lot of talent, like you said. The Browns, in their 60-plus years as a team, has never had a receiver catch 100 passes in a season, and Jarvis Landry has 2 in his first 4. So already you're getting some top talent right there. Coleman is still a decent player that they had a lot of potential in. Njoku, you brought up, is a good talent that I like. The offensive line is underrated for sure. I think you get Saquon Barkley at number 1, and then go fix that secondary with Minkah Fitzpatrick at number 4, since you've got the quarterback at Tyrod Taylor. Do they make a couple more right moves in this scenario? I mean, I don't know if they'll make the playoffs. I'm not going to go bold there yet, since we're in March, but they're obviously continuing this pursuit to make themselves a lot better. And if they hit in their draft picks and do well, this could be a team, I think, that'll definitely make themselves a lot better. I don't know about playoffs yet, but we'll see. Gotta wait and see. They're at least a lot more interesting than they were last year.
Okay, so let's go over some of the fine details of what the Browns have done. So the Browns will give up a 3rd-round pick, the number 65 overall for Tyrod Taylor. So, again, this is a guy that, to me, is not really a franchise quarterback. He's a quarterback that's going to come in, and he'll get you somewhere. He's not necessarily, unless given all the right pieces around him, going to win you a Super Bowl. But I think he's a guy that can get you to the playoffs, which he proved last year. And also, he is a guy that's competent with the football. He makes good decisions. He's athletic. He's not the most accurate guy, but he's a stopgap. And I think he can be a guy that can get them to their future promising quarterback that I think they still will draft there, Dylan, in the top 4. I think they're still going to draft one in the top 4. I know that they gave up a 3rd-rounder for him, but like when looking at all the picks that they have, I think it's worth it, because you look at all the picks that they have, they still have the number 1 pick, the number 4 overall pick, the number 33 overall pick, the number 35 overall pick. So that's practically 4 firsts. That's like 2 firsts in the top 2, like top 4, and then they have the two seconds in the top 3 or something. So that's crazy. And then they have the 1st pick in the 3rd round, which is the 64th overall. So that's a lot of picks that you can work with right there to build your talent. So if we're talking about a team here, they could go number 1, as I discussed yesterday, Saquon Barkley, get their running back and get the most surefire prospect. Then they could go at number 4. They could get a quarterback of their choosing, whoever it may be. Now, I would personally go with probably Josh Allen, but I know that Dylan disagrees. 33, 35, they could build their defense there probably. And then 64, you could do whatever you want. So, yeah, 33, 35, you could get a corner or something. Maybe a pass rusher.
Okay. I just like the prospect of Fitzpatrick. I don't know how much they want to keep.
Yeah, I understand it. Like it would fit a need. I just think that I still think it would be not the smart decision to not pick a quarterback. You know?
Well, no, I just don't know how much stock are they putting in Tyrod Taylor in this situation. What are they going to use him?
This is the way I see him. I see him as being sort of a guy that could start 1 to 2 years.
Okay. I mean, yeah, they only gave up what? They gave up that 3rd-round pick for him?
Yeah.
So it's basically bone dry for nothing. Okay, fair enough.
That's how I feel. Maybe they feel stronger about him. We'll see what happens on draft day, but that's...
Yeah, I mean, I like Tyrod Taylor. Like you said, he's not a quarterback that's going to win you a Super Bowl. He did get to the Bills to the playoffs. He has the talent around him. I just don't know if they want. It doesn't seem like they're going to use him for that long-term deal. It seems like Jarvis Landry was the number 1, and then to have him satisfied, we got a quarterback here for you. So,
well, I think they also. I think the cool thing about it is that the Browns are actually trying to win this year. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like they're not satisfied with going 0-16 anymore. They actually want to win.
They got that out of the way.
So and that's another thing, because free agents, they have all this money in free agency. Free agents will now say, hey, maybe I want to go to Cleveland because they're building something there. Instead, last year, they still had no quarterback. They had nothing. Now with the Jarvis trade, with the Tyrod Taylor trade, they have something to work with, and they have something that players and free agents will want to go to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely, I mean, that's obviously a key thing for them is to get somebody that's come more people in. We obviously want to see some defensive players go there, but there's still quite a bit of decent free agents that they might want to pursue in because of all the space. And this kind of reminds me actually of the Celtics situation. I know the Celtics weren't like nearly as bad as the Browns were, but they acquired a lot of draft picks from like Brooklyn and stuff and used them. And then when they got to the conference finals last year, they used it to make themselves a lot better. Now they're contenders. I don't think the Browns are contenders, but they're using those draft picks and those the free agency money very wisely. So I like that.
Okay, so the final thing for Tyrod Taylor, just talking about him, we'll get some comments of people what they think about it, and then we'll move to the Kizer trade, and then you'll be going, right?
Yeah.
So
after the Kizer.
Yeah. So be spooky says, remember when you said this wouldn't happen and it happened like 5 minutes after? No, bro. Seriously, I left and I said during the video that somebody asked me if Tyrod would go to the Browns, and I said that's probably unlikely because they're going to get McCarron. So it was pretty funny that happened.
That's karma.
Yeah, Kill'em Boy says Jarvis Landry is a game changer for the Browns. Hot Take Augie says, hey, boys and girls. Kill'em Boys says Jarvis Landry, Josh the Flash Gordon, and Corey Coleman is a scary sight to see. Spooky says, no, the Browns still cheeks. Everybody acts like the Browns are good. Hey, give them some hope, bro. We'll get to Danny Shelton later when Dylan leaves.
You can only go up from here. You can only go up from here.
You can only go up from 0-16. Let's get to the DeShone Kizer and your thoughts on him. So the Browns have sent quarterback DeShone Kizer to the Green Bay Packers for corner Damarious Randall. And as part of the deal, the teams will also swap picks in both the 4th and the 5th rounds of this year's draft. So, Dylan, what are your thoughts on DeShone Kizer giving up on him after 1 season, shipping him to Green Bay, and getting a corner Damarious Randall back?
So when the draft class was happening last year, we're like, okay, is Cleveland going to go and draft a quarterback in the 1st round? It seems like they had failed so many times, but there was a lot of good prospects last year. Actually, 3 that went in the 1st round. We had Patrick Mahomes, you had Deshaun Watson. There was guys that we thought the Browns would take a chance on, and they didn't. They decided to wait to the 2nd round for once and pick Kizer, who I was not a fan of. His last season in Notre Dame was very spotty.
We were all collectively not fans of him. Like, I remember before the draft, we were like, this is like the worst quarterback.
So we were all just kind of like, why? Like, did they have some kind of back to know about? So he goes out there and plays awful. It's just abysmal football. I don't want to put all the blame on him because he's a rookie and there wasn't much of a support system for him. But at the same time, there were certain situations where he could have won some games and it fell on his shoulders. So like the Green Bay overtime game, that was a colossal failure on him. The Jacksonville game, he got stripped in, fumble recovery in the end zone that lost them the game. There were certain situations where I'm like, come on, man. Like, just make one more throw and you got this. But I'm sorry, if you lead a team, if you were the quarterback for he was probably quarterback for 14 of the 16 games where they went 0-16, you're going to get shipped the next season. Green Bay, I don't know why they thought it was that great of a decision, ? I mean, I don't know why they needed him, but I think the Browns obviously got the best out of it, getting Damarious Randall, which I think is a steal. That's going to help them a lot. I don't know. I think for Green Bay standard, do you see the reasoning for it? I don't understand the reasoning.
Well, I think the reasoning is, hey, we have a talented guy. We liked him in last year's draft, probably. And they said, well, if Aaron Rodgers goes down, we need a solution because he went down this year. We didn't have a solution.
But don't they have Hundley still? I
don't guess they don't like Hundley. I don't know why you would after watching him play last year.
No, but yeah, that's true. But I mean,
but I think it was more about, Dylan, let me say it this way. I think it was more about them liking Kizer more than anything.
That's strange. I don't know where they saw the liking from him because we saw his last season. I mean, Hundley still got him, 2 wins more than Kizer got his own team. So,
okay, let's be honest though. The 0-16 Browns didn't have a lot of talent to work with DeShone Kizer around there. But I'm not a huge fan of Kizer. But Hugh Jackson did continuously blame every loss on. I said this yesterday. To continuously blame every loss on his quarterback and then say, "Hey, I'm going to start you next game." Like, what are you? Like,
he is the worst coach in the league. I still don't know how he had a job from there. Well, if you're 1-31 in the NFL, get the fuck out of here. But yeah, Damarious Randall, I think that's going to be a steal. I mean, obviously we're talking about Jarvis Landry and Tyrod Taylor, rightfully so. But a guy like Randall should get his value. So
yeah, well, he started 12 games in 17, 9 in 15 and 16, and he has 10 interceptions over those 3 years. I know he's not the best of corners. Obviously, he does tend to get a little burned, as everybody on the Packers secondary has.
That secondary was atrocious.
But I mean, he's started a lot of games, and for a team with not a lot of good corners and defensive backs, this is a guy that can at least come in and help, right?
Yeah. Hey, I mean, with the Brown situation, it's all about we hit rock bottom. Literally, all the coaches went to rock bottom during the combine. It was great. We've hit rock bottom. We can only go up from here. We need certain talent to fill in these roles. We said the Brown secondary needs a little bit of help, and a guy like Damarious Randall is one of those pieces where you're like, he's at least reliable. There's going to be some situations where against some of the better teams in the league, he might get burned a couple of times,
and
like you said.
Depth.
But
right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. You need to make that. You need to beef it up because you're not going to fix your solution overnight. They fixed it up quite a bit, but they're not going to fix every single spot in overnight. So this is one piece. They might go get another corner, like you said, in the early second round. This is still one of probably 2 or 3 more pieces they're going to get in that secondary. So I like it.
All right. So let us know what you thought of the Damarious Randall trade in the comments section as well. Damarious Randall for DeShone Kizer. Let us know about that one. Dylan, you're off?
Yes.
All right. Thank you for joining us here today. We'll see you soon.
All right. See you, Mitch.
Everybody say bye to Dylan. All right. So the last trade involving the Cleveland Browns have traded Danny Shelton, nose tackle, to the New England Patriots. The Patriots have finally gotten a trade done. They tried to trade for Aqib Talib. They tried to trade for Michael Bennett. Now they get their man, Danny Shelton. The Browns will be receiving a 2019 third-round pick in return for Danny Shelton, while New England will get Shelton and a fifth-round pick this year. So essentially, the way that works, teams usually value a pick next year is basically the value has lessened by a round. So essentially, the Browns got a fourth rounder this year is the way that teams look at it. Now, the Browns, looking at them first before we get to the Patriots, the Browns obviously getting a third-round pick next year, I think helps them because while I think Shelton is a good player and it's tough to lose him, I think that the Browns getting a third-round pick next year helps their draft stock next year because they have all these picks this year. That do you really need another fifth-round pick while we can turn that fifth and a player into a third next year that we can use next year in a potential trade, or we can draft a player in the third round next year. We have all these picks already this year. We don't necessarily need another fifth-round pick. So in that sense, it makes a lot of sense for the Browns to not get a pick this year, but next year. Now for the Patriots, and the value of this trade is kind of interesting because like I said, a 2019 third is kind of like a 2018 fourth, and the Patriots also got a fifth. So what this says to me is that Shelton was sort of valued at like fifth round value, because or sixth round even value, but the Patriots got him for, a third plus a fifth, which is like whatever the Danny Shelton was doing the math equation in your head that's the way you figure out the value of the player. But to me, Danny Shelton comes in, and I tweeted this earlier. The Patriots had the worst run defense under Bill Belichick in their history under Bill Belichick. And as a Belichick-led team, they had the worst run defense they've ever had. So that being said, they needed to up their defensive line. They needed to get some talent in there. They needed to get in bigger bodies and guys that can stuff the run. Danny Shelton can certainly do that. One of the biggest things that went under the radar with the Browns last year was the fact that they were the second best team against the run in a yards per carry sense. They only let up 3.4 yards per carry last year, which was second to the Denver Broncos. So that is very good. And considering a lot of teams, they still finished 7th overall in rush defense, considering a lot of teams run the ball against them late in games because they sucked and they were trying to milk the clock out. That's still very impressive. Danny Shelton is the main reason that happened. He was their nose tackle in the middle of that defense. He's a really, really good run stuffer, and he'll instantly provide the Patriots with a big guy in the middle that can move a center and move guards in the middle, that can allow their linebackers and their other defensive players room to get after the runner and get after the quarterback. So Danny Shelton is like a space eater. And if you're Patriots fans, think of it this way. He's sort of in the same mold of a Vince Wilfork. He's not as good as a Vince Wilfork, but he's in the same mold as him. He does the same role, and that's what Bill Belichick's been looking for a couple of years. They had that with Alan Branch last year. Alan Branch fell off a cliff this year in terms of performance. He was injured a lot. Now they bring in Danny Shelton, a guy that can instantly help them against these run-powering teams. We saw the Eagles run all over them in the Super Bowl. That will not happen with Danny Shelton in the middle. Now they have Danny Shelton. They have Lawrence Guy. They have Malcolm Brown. They have Vincent Valentine coming back. And they also have Dietrich Wise as their defensive tackles. That's a good rotation there. So that's going to be a really interesting rotation for the Patriots inside. They've pretty much solved their interior defensive line issues there. Now they need to focus on their edge rushers and their linebackers. And the Patriots have made another solid move to shore up their defensive line. And this is a really wise move, in my opinion. Shelton was a former first-round pick in 2015. Now, the reason why the Browns gave him up was because the Browns weren't going to sign him in a year or so, because right now they have to pay these guys. They have to go out and sign some more free agents and up their team. And the second most important part is that he doesn't really fit their scheme anymore. This was a guy that was drafted. And the thing about the Browns is they're able to trade all these different assets because they don't have they don't have the familiarity with the system, because Shelton was a guy that was drafted for a 3-4 defense to play nose tackle as in Pettin's scheme. But now that they have Hugh Jackson and they've had him for a couple of years, and they've kind of been looking to trade Danny Shelton because he doesn't quite fit the scheme defensively that they've wanted. So Danny Shelton can go to New England where he fits the scheme better, instead of playing in Cleveland where he doesn't quite fit that scheme. So it's a wise move for both parties involved. I think the Patriots do slightly win the trade because they get a talented guy that can instantly help them, while Cleveland has to wait a year to get a draft pick. It was more about Cleveland. They weren't going to pick up his 5th-year option. They were trying to get compensation back in a trade, and that's what the trade was about. And the Patriots do end up getting a guy that can help them. So that's my thoughts on the trade. I'll now be answering some questions, but let me know in the comment section what you guys thought of the Danny Shelton to the New England Patriots trade that happened today, the latest trade in the NFL. All right, let's get to some of the chat and some of the questions. So Danny Shelton, Killin' Boys says Danny Shelton trade was a steal. Basically, he will help the Patriots out. I agree with you. He says you can't block Danny Shelton's big frame, and he can stop the run, and his underrated fact is that he can also rush the passer. I think he's a guy that will play on 1st and 2nd downs. He's a guy that can push the pocket. That's not his main thing, is getting after the passer, but he's mostly a run stuffer in the mold of like a Damon Harrison or a Snacks. But like, he can push the pocket. He's so strong that he can do that. And obviously he was a 12th overall pick, so he has a lot of potential still. He's only 24 years old, and for an NFL player, that is considered pretty young. All Sports Players and News Highlights says, hey, everybody, what's going on, man? Jeremy says the Browns won't win a game for the rest of the decade. Hey, bro, the Browns could do well this year. I think the Browns are looking at, a 6 to 8 win season right now. That's a huge improvement, and that's not even considering like what they need to do that's kind of taking into account what they'll do in the draft, but not necessarily free agency. Who knows who they'll get in free agency? They could get Can you hear me? I hope you can still hear me. Anyways, let me know if you can hear me because I pulled my cord out. But anyways, that's not even considering what they'll be doing in free agency. So yeah, I think that the Browns could be a 6 to 8 win team easily. So yeah. What do we got here? Mel W says, talk about them Rams. Well, the Rams haven't done much as of like the last 2 days. I've already discussed the Rams in terms of the Talib thing and everything. So yeah. Go check those videos out because this is a Browns video. Browns will win 5 games, says Mel. What else? Jeremy says, who will the Jets draft in round 1? It depends. They could get a quarterback. I think it would probably be interesting. If they don't end up getting Kirk Cousins, which they're a contender to get Kirk Cousins, I think they will get probably a defensive player. They do need a rusher. So if Chubb slides to them, they might get him. Trying to think. They could get another guy, and they could get a corner. They definitely need a corner, so they could get a corner. But I think they'll probably get a quarterback if they don't get Kirk Cousins. That would be my guess. I don't know. I've yet to get to the mock draft stage. I need some clout. Says, hey, I'm a Raiders fan. We have no hope. Well, sorry, bro. I think you have a little bit of hope. Doesn't John Gruden motivate you? No, not at all. Mitch Blake Bortles is the GOAT. Says, sup, Jaguars fans and Blake Bortles fans. Oh, God. You did that on purpose. Who are you really? Mel W says, Jaguars been losing for 20 years now. I know you happy. Jaguars were good last year. What are you talking about, bro? Go Browns says, Mel W, shut up. Don't talk about my Browns. Yeah. Michael says 1, Barkley 4, Allen. That's what I would do as well. Barkley at 1 and Mayfield at 4. Interesting. Well, if you were going to get similar quarterbacks to Tyrod Taylor, why wouldn't you draft Lamar Jackson? That's my question. The chances of the Bills trading up in the draft. If they want a quarterback, it's pretty high. So it depends what you guys are planning on doing in terms of the quarterback situation. My guess in free agency is that you'll go after a Sam Bradford and try and sign a Sam Bradford in free agency. And he may be the answer or he may be a stopgap. The thing about Sam Bradford is he's talented. He just always gets injured. So my guess is that the Bills, are going to get a Sam Bradford type quarterback or Sam Bradford and then, or Case Keenum, maybe someone like that. And then they'll draft a quarterback. So the Bills could definitely trade up because they might want to trade up to get that quarterback. But the Bills this year, actually, they made the playoffs. So it's kind of interesting that where they land in the draft, because usually teams around the 20s don't really need quarterbacks. But I think it's pretty likely. I would actually say that it's above 50% that they trade up. I'll say that. I think it's likely because I think they want to get up there and get the quarterback that they want. So I'm going to say, yeah. Logan says, I wonder if the Pats are going to draft a corner. Well, the way this free agency is going, it doesn't seem like they're interested in Sherman. We'll see what they do in terms of the other corners on the market and who they try and sign. Maybe they'll be in play for Tremaine Johnson or a EJ Gaines or somebody like that. But we'll see. I think the Patriots, I would like to see them draft an edge rusher because I think that's their biggest need. But I also think a corner could be in play as well, depending on who the best available player is. Michael says, my Saints traded up and get a future quarterback. Sean Payton loves Mayfield. That could happen. Could happen. I feel like one of these quarterbacks is going to fall. Like one of them has to fall somewhere, right? So depending on who falls, I guess depends. It kind of fixes the market, I guess, in a sense. Like you'll get a sense of what's going to happen once you see what quarterbacks are being picked and who falls and who rises. So, there might be a quarterback that goes sooner than people project, and there might be a quarterback that falls So we'll see. Anyways, any more questions? I'll stay for a couple more minutes and then I'll be out. But definitely, guys, if you came in late or you just want to focus on one area of the video that we discussed, we actually went over every single Browns trade, the new look Brownies, the new look Browns. What could they possibly do? I'll also be doing a couple more videos on the Browns as the season and in the draft comes closer. I'll be doing a video about what they should do at number 1 and number 4 and what they should do in the draft overall. And then I'll probably do a video on how many wins the Browns will get probably around the training camp area because people will be probably interested in that. But I discussed every draft or every trade individually. The Tyrod Taylor one, I discussed the Jarvis Landry one yesterday, Kizer, Randall, and then Shelton. I'll probably be releasing from this video individual videos of the Kizer trade and also the Shelton trade. So if you came in late, check those videos out. Dante says, as a Cowboys fan, I respect what the Browns are doing. What teams do you think will move up in the draft? Bills are the only one I can think of at the moment. The Bills make a lot of sense. I think that was a good question by the Bills fan. Let me just look at all the teams because like I'm better at focusing on who I think will move up when I look at all the teams. So I think the Patriots are an interesting one because the Patriots are a team that have 2 second-round picks, and they very well could move up because of that. They could also move down because they're the Patriots, but they could move up, and depending on what they want, maybe they want that elite pass rusher and they move up. Maybe they want that elite corner, elite guy in the secondary, and they move up. That could happen. The Cowboys, I don't know. Trying to see what sort of draft picks they have this year. So looking at the Cowboys, they have a typical draft. So they do have 2 4s, 2 5s, 2 6. So they could potentially move up in the 2nd or 3rd round, but I don't really see them moving up in the 1st round. I think that the Cowboys will probably stay put. They might even trade back. I don't think they're going to trade up. Now that website is playing something in my ears. It's annoying. Seattle Seahawks, definitely probably not going to trade up. Packers would be an interesting one. Again, looking at the Green Bay Packers. They're a team that has really expressed that they want to get some more help defensively for Aaron Rodgers. So they would be an interesting one if they do move up. A team like Houston, I don't even think has a 1st-round pick. I don't think Kansas City has one. So depending on what they want to do, they could move up. Wow. Green Bay has 2 4s and 3 5s. Green Bay's at number 14. I don't think they'll move up from there. Looking at the rest of the teams. Steelers, I don't think will move up. Vikings, I don't think will move up. Giants won't move up, obviously. They might move down. Bears, I don't think the Bears, because they don't need a quarterback. So Broncos won't. Broncos could. The Broncos could move up if they want to get Allen badly, but I don't think they do. The Rams, who knows with them? They could do something because they're crazy. The Bills, like I said, could definitely move up. Dolphins, I think, could move up. Saints, if they want that quarterback, could move up. But I think they need other things. I don't think they'll do that. The Panthers, no. The Jets, maybe, but I doubt it. The Lions, probably not. Lions are more likely to move back. Would not be surprised. Chargers could move up. Okay, I think that answers your question. Those are some teams. Do you think the Patriots are in the market for a quarterback? The one guy I really want is Lamar Jackson. So if Lamar Jackson is somewhere where they can get him in the 1st round, Patriots do it. I don't think they are in that market though. I think they might get one in like the middle round, like the 3rd round or something. They always typically draft a quarterback, but I don't think they're in desperation mode to get somebody because I feel like they're in the win with Brady in the next 2 years mode. They're not in the looking to the future sort of thing. But Patriots are always forward thinking. They could definitely do something. I wouldn't be completely shocked if they did trade up to get a quarterback. But I think it is unlikely. Miles says, what do you think the market will be for Bridgewater, Bradford, and Keenum? I think Keenum will probably demand the highest. Bradford 2nd, Bridgewater 3rd. I think Bridgewater is probably likely to go to like Arizona or Indy, or not Indy, Arizona, possibly Denver, New York, Jets, or the Vikings. I don't think there's going to be like a lot for Bridgewater. Bradford, I think there could be a lot, but his injury history will kind of keep him down a level from Keenum, where I think Keenum will get quite a bit of money from like a team like the Broncos. And I think Bradford will get a team, will probably go to like the Bills or the Jets or somewhere like that, get some money, but I think teams will also be skeptical about his issues with his injury, so they'll probably bring in another guy as well, like a rookie or something. So I think all these quarterbacks, though, will be going to places where they'll have to compete for their job. Like, I think Keenum will go to a place where he's going to be assumed the starter, but then let's say the Broncos grab him, they'll also grab a rookie, you know, and they'll have Paxton Lynch there. Bradford, I think, will go to a place where he'll be assumed the starter year 1, but we'll probably get a rookie as well. And then Bridgewater will probably go somewhere where he'll have to fight for a job. So unless he's in Minnesota and they don't get Cousins, then that's different. No problem, Miles. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Once again, going live on the Bottom Line View, discussing the new look Cleveland Browns and everything in the NFL regarding free agency and trades. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more NFL. It's Mitch. Stay tuned for more NFL trade reactions. Peace out.